Brought to you by PAX East.
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How you doing? So much news.
So much news, man. I mean, we didn't even take a week off of the flagship show, but we took some time off some of the other shows, and it just feels like it's been 5 years since we've recorded.
Yeah, it feels a little weird. We got to get back into the rhythm. And PAX East is sure to make sure that doesn't happen. This week. So it's going to be a rocky road, a busy couple weeks for us, but an exciting couple weeks too.
Definitely going to be. And let's just get this out of the way while it's still fresh in our mind. We are both going to be at PAX East this weekend. It is at the Boston Convention Center and something. I mean, if you don't know where it is, you probably don't have tickets, so I don't need to explain where it is. If any of you are going to be there, we have a text channel set up in the Discord. We're going to, we're going to post any like meetups or anything in there. Also, we're going to try to go somewhere on Saturday night to watch Overwatch League. But we don't know where that's going to be. We'd like to go to like an actual viewing party if the Boston Uprising fans are having one. So if you just keep an eye on the Twitter handle at Uprising Fans, those are the people that usually do it for Boston, do the viewing party. So we're going to try to meet up with them and do an actual viewing party. I don't know how attainable that's going to be because there's going to be, like 30,000 additional people in the city.
Yeah, it really might just be us finding a crummy bar where we can sit and they'll put the TV on loud, something along those lines. Yeah. But wherever we end up watching it, we'll put the word out there. If it happens early because of an official watch party, we will make sure to tweet about it, Discord announcement, everything we can, that anybody in the area that wants to stop by and meet us is able to find us in the event that anything is going on. But like Blevin said, you can watch at Uprising Fans on Twitter for that announcement. And if we do end up doing it, if you were looking for us, we will be the large bearded gentleman.
Yeah.
In case there was any
that aren't in costumes. Yes. No stilts. But yeah, if you see us somewhere, say hi, freak Deathblow out because I'm sure he's going to get freaked out. It'll be hilarious.
It'll be weird. It's going to be super weird. You might be the first person to ever come up to me and like recognize me in person.
True.
And I might really get weird. So who knows?
And I'll be there trying to make it even more weird. So it's going to be great. But yeah, that's going to be super, super fun. So let's talk a little bit about, we mentioned that, this week was kind of like our week off, from shows. So, there was no ATP, there was no foul play. I did do an episode of Ever Upward show, so you can check that out. And then also Thorn and Kyle Wynn did another episode of Blackwatch Report, so check all that stuff out on their own individual podcast feeds or on the YouTube channel. Definitely make sure to check that. But let's talk a little bit about what we did last week. Death, anything new, fun, and exciting for you?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned it before last week. I kind of told you guys, or maybe it was just in the Discord, but myself and then I Play Games from Omniclab / Owl Recap, Blazing Bob and Melorina from Owl Recap, and then the Cavalry and Watchpoint Radio, and all the different shows that they do. Also Kinder from Fragging Out, and a sixth that's not a podcaster, but shout outs nonetheless to Bounty Man. We're starting a little bit of a six-stack team. Having a lot of fun with it so far. We've played 2 different times. The first one was Omnic Lab game night. And the thing you need to know is Omnic Lab is a show that's about teaching people how to play Overwatch well, okay? Not so much the league. And they're really good at their job, so their listeners are all very good at the game. There's a lot of like GM players and Masters players in there. And I'm not out of my depth. However, I was playing Tracer, where I am very much out of my depth against those particular players. And, you know, we've got, you know, Plats. We weren't SR restricting anybody. Nobody was too low to join us or anything like that. We're just trying to get better as a 6-stack group. So we got beaten up pretty good. I think we won once in the Challenge the Podcasters team. But there was some competitive games, and we were definitely getting a feel for things. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Shout outs to Shock. I haven't played with him in a while. He's still terrible, and I'm a better Zenyatta player, but nonetheless, I just had to make sure I got that in there. Doomfist is bad, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. But nonetheless, you know, we also had another practice after that went much better, since we were, you know, like playing comp as a group to like see what our SR level is. And, you know, before we start finding scrims, you got to know what level you can play at. Right. So just getting acclimated. We're doing some VOD reviews, so that was a lot of fun. And also, I don't know if we've mentioned this on the show, but Sea of Thieves is a lot of fun, so I did a good amount.
Yeah, you should definitely be recording and streaming those VOD reviews, by the way. But for me, it's been a lot of the same. Have been playing a little bit of Sea of Thieves. I got like way too into Fortnite. And I'm still so bad. It's fun. It's one of those games that's like so fun, and I'm so bad.
It's in the category of games that looks too fun for me to try.
It's free, so there's no reason not to.
No, it looks too good. Like I only have so much time in my day on games I really want to play.
We'll play a little bit sometime, but super fun. Even though I'm absolutely god awful at the game, and I've been playing Gwent too in anticipation of Artifact, the Dota 2 card game coming out at some point in the maybe future. And then all the same old stuff. I'm getting bored of Clash, even though I keep playing it every day. It's just, I don't know.
You're pot committed, so we understand.
Yeah, it's sunken cost fallacy keeps me playing. And I tried to play Overwatch today, but it wouldn't let me. It's like in a weird spot right now, like Overwatch, where like the competitive season's not over, but like it's like a lame duck format, right? Because we can't play Brigitte, so it's like I just want to play like the game as it's supposed to be. Like, just let me play with the hero that's there. Like, what does it matter if comp is ruined? Spoiler alert, Blizzard, comp is always ruined. Comp is awful. Let me play it. Like, let me just play Brigitte. I want to see if she's good or not. Or if I can play her well. I want to start playing her at a competitive level, but regardless, that's about it. But let's move on to a very...
sounded like really, really depressed about that Brigitte segment. I felt like we should have had like sad music playing in the background.
I don't know. I actually was playing her when she first like was released technically, and I played her a little bit on PTR, and I just something about her I just didn't get. And then I played her in Deathmatch a little bit, and I think I just like understood her a little bit more. Like it's more like getting used to making sure you're using all of her abilities. It's like half the time I'm like, oh wait, I have to use my shift, and I never use it.
I do that on Diva. I don't fire micro rockets. It doesn't occur to me. I'm still a
took me a while.
rework Diva.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't even do anything different than I used to. It's just that's why I'm bad.
Yeah. So I got a little bit better with her, and it felt better. It felt like, oh, I'm actually like able to like outskill people in deathmatch, which, you know, take that for what it's worth. But I am looking forward to playing her more when I can actually play her in a format that means that means at least fake internet points go up. So once that happens, I'll definitely be playing more. But let's move on to a very, very special segment. There we go.
Overwatch Today, meme of the week.
That, of course, is the meme of the week. And the meme of the week was April Fool's, which sucks. This is what you get for it. There's no meme because April Fool sucks. Let's move on to my
sad and salty Blevins this week. It's one of my favorite flavors.
Here's the thing. Okay, this is like bordering on cupcake level of frustration. April Fools,
Yes, I got a rant out of him.
I'm a trickster at heart. Like, I love trolling people. But here's the thing. It's got to be funny and it's got to be clever. If you're just doing something for the sake of doing it, and it's not funny and it's not clever, just don't do it. Like, every year, every like company's like, oh, well, this year we're making Microsoft Edge donuts. Oh, April Fools. That's not funny. Like you do it every year. Every year on April 1st, you come up with a new stupid thing. Like, Razer is notoriously bad for this. They come up with a stupid April Fool's thing every year. And, like, the thing about Razer, I'm not as upset about it because they almost make something that's, like, just on the cusp.
Also, when buying your Razer products, please use the High Noon Podcast affiliate links. You can find those on the Twitch.
Exactly. Or you can buy your Razer products from Amazon using the High Noon affiliate link, which is actually down below on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. If you have any questions, let me know. But Razer, like, does an almost good job of coming up with things that are almost like that they could make, but they don't. Like, they came out with like a Razer Chroma coffee mug. Like it was just a regular coffee mug, but it had like the chroma like colors to it. And like this year they came out in air quotes with an energy drink that has like Razer microbots in it. And it's like, okay, it's not real. I get it.
It's called Project Venom.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking at pictures of it, so don't tell me it's fake.
It's definitely fake. And they came out with a levitating mouse one year. Like, every year it's fake. That's the joke. It's fake. It's not funny. But like, every company in the world does it, and I didn't see anyone do it in a funny or clever way, except Pokemon Go actually did it in a funny way. Although I don't know if it was meant to be April Fool's or not, but like the little sprites down below where like you see the Pokemon in the wild, they changed them to 8-bit sprites now. So like, it's actually like a drastic improvement from what it was, but it was like meant, they like put it out as an April Fool's joke because it's like now in super high def 8-bit, which is like even better than 4K graphics. Like they bought into it. They made an improvement to their product, but spun it as an April Fool's joke. That's the way you can do it. But yeah, most people it's just bad. It's just bad. Not funny. I won't go into any of the Overwatch specific ones because I don't want to call anyone out right now. But there were some really bad and stupid ones. There are some really bad and stupid ones on certain competitive Overwatch Discord servers. That's all I'll say. Let's move on. And I have a sad announcement that I lost my It's High News soundbite drop. So rest in peace the 25 seconds it's going to take me to make a new one, but I didn't make one in time for this. So, Deathblow, do you know what time it is? It's High News. Someone clip it. Someone clip it. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be that. That's our April Fool's joke for the whole year. We're going to use that stupid thing until someone comes up with something funny for April Fool's. But we've got a lot of news and a lot of unconfirmed news. So let's just jump right into it. First and foremost here, we have the details, at least the preliminary details for the Overwatch World Cup for 2018. So that's good. It's good to know that it's definitely happening. That wasn't necessarily guaranteed, although it was pretty much assumed it was going to happen. But what's super cool and super important for everyone listening to this show to know is that we both have a shot to be part of the Overwatch World Cup.
One of us a little more than others, because only one of the positions we're after is votable.
Yeah.
The other one is Blizzard appointed.
Can still get it.
But we're still asking you. We need you to email. Fill up every Blizzard email box you can find an address to with my name. We're running for general manager and community lead. So I want to be the GM. Blevins wants to be the community lead for really any of the countries, but probably only the United States we're qualified for. So we'll take that one. Since that's the one with the only percent chance, no matter how small it is. But yeah, we need your help, guys. We need tweets. We need votes. And we need emails sent to Blizzard telling them that America wants Deathblow to be their general manager.
Yes. Yes.
We're after it.
That's what we're after. We're going to get more details on that in the coming weeks and months, but that is project number one for both
Get
of
your
us.
pitchforks, boys.
Once we get the opportunity to vote, and even beforehand, I've got some ideas for a campaign here. So, and let's just say it involves characters. That's all,
See,
I'm going to say.
I was just going to mobilize the Discord that we created. Like, it was just finally time to reveal its true purpose as our own personal PR army.
Oh, 100%. That's what it is.
Unleash on the Overwatch community. I mean, I guess we can say we'll see how good your campaign idea is. Maybe we'll.
Well, we do both. The Discord is part of the campaign.
Right.
I'm just talking about promotional videos.
Everything we've got, we're unleashing.
We are unleashing the podcast. Shout outs to Hearthstone podcast. Only the Oest of OGs will get that one. But yeah, we'll definitely be filling you in more with that as we get more details and all that good stuff. There's going to be like a clickable link and stuff. We're just going to need that clicked millions of times. Moving on, real quick, some members of the Houston Outlaws are actually going to be on the Today Show, like tomorrow morning, Raucus and Jake. So that's really cool, seeing the crossover into the quote-unquote real world. So I'm sure that the clip will be everywhere, so definitely keep an eye out for that. It hasn't happened as of the recording. It's going to happen, what did you say, tomorrow morning, I think?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this incredibly early in the morning, you might have a chance to catch it. Otherwise, it'll probably already be in clip form and on Reddit.
Clip form, Reddit, all that good stuff. So that will definitely be interesting. Another piece of news we got the map pool for Stage 3.
Yes.
And that map pool includes, for Assault, we've got Volskaya and Temple of Anubis. Hybrid, we've got the introduction of Blizzard World, as well as Numbani. We've got Ilios and Nepal for Control. For Escort, we've got Junkertown and Route 66. And we don't have it confirmed for the tiebreaker, but deductive reasoning leads us to believe that Oasis is the likely pick for the tiebreaker map.
Yes, Nepal and Oasis are the two that haven't been tiebreaker maps at any point so far, and Nepal is in the base map pool here, leaving Oasis as the obviously most likely candidate to be the tiebreaker map. So take it with a grain of salt. We're not positive. It could very easily be
Li Jiang again.
It could be Li Jiang again. There's no reason it can't be other than common sense and, like you said, deductive reason.
Yeah, that's basically it. One highlight for me as an NYXL fan is that there's no Junkertown is here. Is that there's no Horizon Lunar Colony, which is just the bane of NYXL's existence.
Well, we've got Junkertown, which is like the home map of the Houston Outlaws, so I'm happy.
I'm fine with the Houston Outlaws doing well on weeks that they're not playing NYXL.
Doing great on weeks that they play against it.
Yeah. No, great Houston is still not good. We're not going to get, we don't need to be against each other.
That's true.
I
love New York.
We need to band together and root against Boston on Saturday, even though, we'll go into that in a little bit.
I hope they have a watch party.
I hope so badly.
After Houston beats them, I'm just doing the slow clap in the back corner.
I want so badly, if I just had the disposable money, to buy both a Boston Uprising and a Houston Outlaws hat and just keep switching them every time one of them wins a map. Just go completely for it. But moving on, there was an announcement that 4-team stage playoffs are on the way for the stage finals. I honestly, I literally only read the headline. Is that what? Do we know when that's happening?
It's going to be
Starting
for
in
this
stage
coming
3?
stage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting right away. There's another interesting wrinkle here, and that's that the first place team chooses their opponent.
Ooh, get a little bit of that Apex style.
Yes, and it's
That's
very
awesome.
clear, and I'm stealing a joke that I can't remember who said in Discord, so sorry you're not being credited for this. But it's very obvious that the Seoul Dynasty have bribed the Overwatch League because expanding the map pool or the team pool for the playoffs was really their only chance of ever making.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch. But yeah, that's awesome. It was kind of weird that they had the 3-team stage playoffs.
It is a little more competitively balanced in the sense that now, no matter what, both teams are playing twice in the finals, right? So there's not one team on a break and whatever. Not that that's, ever benefited the team that played well. It did this time, right? Because New York pulled it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
Look, it was looking like it was going.
It's not equal is all that really matters, right? There's a difference. There's not parity, which is not good for competitive spirit.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with it personally, but I also have no problem with this. Like it adds a whole extra match into the playoff Sunday. I think it's just going to enhance the fun of the ability to. That's the big thing to me is choosing your opponent is just so clutch to me.
Well,
I love it because now when one picks two, it's like, oh snap! Like
that happened.
It's on now.
That happened with in Apex with. Was it Rogue and Envy? I think way back in the day when like Rogue.
I remember Envy. Somebody calling their shot and picking somebody.
It was Rogue picked Envy, I think, and it was
just
not
did
like
not
the
pay off.
Team. No, yeah, it was the hardest team, arguably. This was like I think this was Apex Season 1, the one that Envious won. And Rogue just picked Envious, and it did not pay off.
I love it though. It's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it is great. The called shot, the disrespect, all that good stuff. Like this, I think this just adds so much and takes away basically nothing.
The perfect amount of like rivalry fuel that's needed for these playoffs to make them just a little bit more hype. Like there's never too much hype. Right. I guess as long as the product lives up to it. Right. But so far we've been fine there.
I guess they probably only did it for logistic reasons, and I guess if you're adding the extra day anyway, you might as well use it. Right. So that's awesome. Definitely excited for that. Moving on, we had basically a confirmation of an old Slasher Says from actually a long time ago that NYXL have added Animo as a backup. Well, that's not necessarily a backup, but as a support player. And they also added Zet as an assistant coach. So I don't know anything about Zet. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on him. But Animo is, I think, a much needed...
well, in case anything happens to Arc,
right?
We won't be playing mono on Lucio anymore. So
right, exactly. And it's possible that he has a pool that complements certain lineups better. I don't know. I don't know much about Animo, so
hard to see New York messing with their current chemistry, but anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. Like, I think we might see like maybe not A team, B team, but like if they're playing against a lower end team and Animo is comparable but has a different map hero pool than Arc or maybe
classic
Jonak.
Soul mistake.
Yeah,
excellent.
I don't know. We'll see.
Hopefully not. Please don't, New York. You're killing it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Except for if you want to play him against Houston, by all means, go nuts.
Maybe he's insane. Maybe he's the Snillo of NYXL. I don't know. But moving on, we had Bunny traded from Seoul to LA Valiant. Interesting move here. What's even more interesting is that the LA Valiant social media person made no additional comment about Bunny getting traded on Easter. He will be executed. Or she. Could be she. I have no idea who the LA Valiant, now I'm imagining former social media person was. That's right. You got in a fight with them way early on.
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised that they failed at they failed at the one thing they needed to do. Yeah, absolutely despicable.
Just to be clear, it couldn't be a less serious beef I have with the LA Valiant PR people.
Yeah,
it was like one passing tweet, like a couple back and forth or something.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be talking about the LA Valiant for a while here, so go pop your popcorn if you're not looking to hear about LA Valiant. LA Valiant have traded Unco for Custa from the Dallas Fuel. So support line getting swapped around, which further I guess it kind of complicates the whole statement that Kareev wanted to stay as support, right? So like,
No, I think this is finding Kareev's optimal replacement here, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I think they want right now. You kind of need a bit of a flexible Lucio player, like you're seeing even like Big Goose and players that are really strong in the Lucio. Switching, playing some Ana at times. You still have to be able to play some Mercy. I think Custa's a little bit more flexible than Unco was, and also, you know, we like Custa a lot. As we've talked and praised his shot calling ability on here and on foul play, and how we thought he should have kind of kept the jobs over Chipsogen for the Dallas Fuel while he was there. So this is, I think, nothing other than just a slight change up here. You know, I don't think these guys are like tiers different from each other as far as you know, player quality goes. I do think the biggest winner here is Custa. So, you know, more so than either of the teams individually. But this is, I think, has a potential to be very good for both organizations, in all honesty, because, you know, both of these are very talented players, and they're, you know, they just need a new home, right? It's just not really working out for either team at the moment. A little bit more so for one than the other, but at the same time, you know, the Valiant aren't here to be in 7th place after stage 2, and they're making that very clear. So if 7th place is what they're going to be, they're willing to risk dropping a little farther, is what it looks like to me.
7th is the same as 12th, essentially, right?
Right, 100. There's no draft, right? You're not even rewarded for being down there, I guess. But yeah, so they're really making a push here. Far from the most questionable decision they've made in this segment. So.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. I guess it's interesting that they're breaking up the Frenchman, which is kind of interesting, or at least until now. So one thing to note is that there are still, as of this recording, there are still 2 more days for trades and acquisitions for this stage, or for this season, rather.
And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think this will only be the 2nd biggest news section as far as ads drops. I mean, I could be completely wrong. There could be nothing from here on out. But the way this is shaking up and the talk that's going on, and I'm expecting, honestly, I'm expecting Dallas and the Valiant to be a little bit more active, you know, especially. But probably a couple other surprises in there as well. There's teams that have kept a tighter lid on their discontent and their issues internally, but they're still there for just about every, like, no team is 100% locked and loaded, ready to go, except for maybe New York. And I would guess there's still differences of opinions there, things, you know, weaknesses they'd like to shore up. So I can't even rule out them adding people, because, you know, our stance, depth always good. Like, unless the depth is toxic, the depth is always good for you. So.
Right. And I guess that kind of, it brings up a point that reminds me, actually, they, I don't remember who did it, but you can probably find it on Reddit, but they had an exclusive interview with Kai. It was a written interview. And he talked about one of the factors that people don't really talk that much about is players' egos and whatnot for playing time. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's like, it's tough. It's got to be tough when, like, you know, one of your support players is like, man, I need to be playing more, or like, you know, I'm better than this person, etc. When you're on the same team, and it's not like, and the one thing that Kai mentioned is, like, it's not like Dallas Fuel or any of the other teams have been established for, you know, 5 years, and we've got a bunch of rookies who are coming in and look up to these guys and love the chance to play with these guys. It's like, I mean, there's definitely different tiers of players, but there's not necessarily different tiers of respect for for other players. Everyone's basically at the same level. This is season 1, so it's not like everyone has a ton more experience, at least at this level, than anyone else. Everyone's basically at the same amount. So there's definitely going to be some issues there that will hopefully resolve themselves and kind of naturally work out in the long run. But we'll talk more about that as it develops. Another piece of news here for LA Valiant is that they've released Envy. So that's an interesting move.
Yeah. What are you doing over there, guys? Like, I can't make sense of this one. I really.
Unless they're trying to pick someone up.
it just, I mean, they have space, so they have a flex tank or an off tank who can step in. But I do think this is, part of the reason why I very much so expect the Valiant to make a move here. There was an attempt to trade Siegel at one point. I don't know if it was for Siegel on the LA Valiant side. I know Dallas was shopping them. So there's something in the works here. Something's going on where, I think they're bringing in a new main tank to start. I don't expect this to be Space's job. I mean, I think they're going to capable.
They're going to bring in someone over Fate to play main tank.
No, I'm talking about over Envy, who just got released.
Oh, okay.
Because Fate and Envy were their tank line. So I think, right now you look and you have to see Space as kind of the one stepping in for the off tank role. But I've never been the biggest Space fan. Sorry to any Space fans that are out there.
Maybe Numlocked coming in.
I could be. I don't know. I did. I do have that clip of me killing him on Diva with a mercy.
Really, that's what's keeping him from ever being played. It's like, yeah, but that's gonna.
See that clip? Like anytime he goes to the coach's office, there's just a loop of that GIF playing on the screen behind him.
Do you got anything to say?
Did this get taken off the internet yet? No. Okay. But yeah, so I do expect somebody to come in. Listen, I think Space could do an okay job here, but I think it would be a little bit like the iRemix situation for the Gladiators. Like, sure, you're not playing poorly, but like, are you making all the plays that are possible?
Push.
Are you making this team actively better? Right. I'm not saying Space can't do that. I can't imagine they would drop somebody of Fate or Envy's caliber. Man, I get those two confused all the time, and now it's so important that I don't, because one of them was cut and the other one wasn't. But yeah, so I don't think you drop somebody of Envy's caliber, who I do think was a very strong off tank player, unless you plan to bring in somebody better than what you've opted not to play over Fate this entire time, right? So
might be
I did it again.
It might be partially Envy's doing, where he's like, trade me. Like, I don't want to play here anymore, or like, I think I have a better option. There was something, and I believe this was unconfirmed, or I know it was unconfirmed. Excuse me, but I believe that LA Valiant tried to shop him around and couldn't get any offers, so they decided to part ways with him. Allegedly, it was mutual, but again, when the official PR tweet says, both parties mutually agreed to leave, that's rarely the case, or at least the same level of mutual.
Yes, they agreed to say that it was mutual when everybody walked out the door.
Right. So, I mean, Envy, it is interesting that he wouldn't get picked up by another team. Like, there's got to be teams that could run him right now, right? Like, he's not the worst. He certainly was not the worst off-tank player in the league.
I mean, Dallas, right? Like, I don't know. Like, is Siegel really the answer on your off-tank
role?
OGE
and Mickey, I guess.
Yeah. OGE and Envy sounds better to me than most of the tank lines they've put out there. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, considering they've been in so many talks, they probably have talked about that as an option, but now Dallas just gets to go in and they can pick them up, right? I'm assuming that's how it works. You can just pay if they're not on a team, you can just pay their contract or whatever. And
right. And it's worth noting that right now Envy gets to just go back home and do whatever he wants and still get paid. So he might just prefer to do that rather than sit on a team's bench. Like, he might rather just try to find his home in season 2. I can't imagine people are going to completely forget about him to the point where he's not going to be able to get trials and stuff, going.
Yeah, I mean, man, that would have to be a tough one. I don't know. Like, even if I'm a decent player, if I'm a good player, even, man, I would not want to leave that facility for any reason whatsoever. Not even because, like, oh, I want to be living the dream. It's like, man, I think recency bias is a huge thing. There are so many people. There are so many good contenders players and players that are going to be getting better. There's so many people who are going to know more people than you if you leave. There's so much, like, middling Overwatch League experience is going to be, it gets less and less valuable as seasons progress. So
I would tend to agree with you, but I think we can just ask, IDDQD, how much being on the bench gets you exposure and how much it gets you,
Yeah.
tape that you can send to GMs and the GMs can review. Like, I don't know how the contracts work. Maybe he wouldn't be able to like sign with a contenders team or something like that. But I mean, if he can go out there and like win open division and not violate his contract or anything like that,
Right.
then by all means, that might be. I could see him deciding that that's his best bet. Not that I would necessarily.
That is definitely a possibility. But again, this maybe this will develop into something more. We still have 2 more days, which could very possibly be the most active days that we've seen thus far. But the last piece of LA Valiant news, and what might actually be the most perplexing and weird and kind of like, I don't even know the news, is that Valiant have officially announced Grim Reality is transitioning from player to assistant coach. So
he's 18 and he's retired from playing.
Right. I know. Your player who is the lifeblood of the future of the org potentially, and has the most potential to be a franchise player, is now retired. What?
Yeah, I don't know. And I can't believe no team made an offer, or I mean, maybe they can now, right? Maybe if his contract's changed and he's a coach, maybe they're freely able to go from coach.
I would imagine that he that's the announcement, but technically he was dropped and then signed a non-Overwatch League player contract as an assistant coach.
Right. And honestly, was he not basically an assistant coach for you the whole time?
This opens up a roster spot.
Yeah, it opens up a roster spot that we kind of know they're not going to use, right? I don't know. It's definitely weird.
They might fill up. These last 2 days they could fill up.
They've clearly, and I do expect them to, because they've been very open about wanting the A team and the B team, and that fell apart while they were planning to cut people from the B team. But I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Agility said on stream that there's no more A team, B team.
Yeah, but I mean that's because the players were told, "Hey, pack your stuff. You're not, you can't be in the building anymore." So once they fill those spots up, I would expect that to get back to being the case. This is just weird. I mean, they clearly decided Grim Reality is not where their future is. I just hope Grim Reality doesn't decide he wants to be a coach yet. You've got time to be a player still, bud. And I hope you whenever transition back. And this is just like Blevin said, I don't want to leave the facility. I'm here. I'm at the epicenter of Overwatch. This is what I want to be doing. So I hope that's why he's agreeing to this and doing this.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can only imagine. I'm just trying to think, because it's so crazy. Because he's literally 10 years younger than me, and it's I can only imagine what would be going through my mind if I were 18 and in that position. It's you're not going to say no. I don't know. I just hope everything's going in the way that's best for him.
I hope he has an agent that helped him with the decision, and they feel confident that he's gonna be okay, because I don't know that we've ever interviewed anybody that I left with. I never had a negative opinion of Grim Reality under any circumstances, but when we walked into that interview with him, I was very neutral on Grim. And then left it being a very, very big Grim Reality fan. He's just a very engaging person to talk to. He's a very nice guy. So I definitely hope everything.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best for him. The only thing for me that makes any amount of sense, and I'm not saying I agree with it, though I could see a world where it makes some amount of sense, is that when we interviewed Grim Reality, he mentioned that he played, and really kind of how he got into esports was he played traditional sports his whole life growing up. So I think he mentioned soccer, track, and maybe a couple other sports in there. And and then he got hurt and had to kind of transition to esports because he wanted to keep that competitive mentality. I get that entirely. Depending on, the level that he played, competitive sports, even at a high school and younger level, if you had great coaching and were in a competitive environment, you can I would argue that someone like that has a better coaching mentality than a lot of the coaches that are in Overwatch League right now who have never been in that environment.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've talked about it, how we both would be running, we would be coaching Overwatch League teams very different than some, if not all of the coaches are running their teams.
I'm not saying by any means I think I'd be the best candidate for a head coaching job in the Overwatch community, but I can say with some confidence that there is a non-zero number of Overwatch League teams that would probably be better off if I was their head coach than who they have.
Right.
So the attitude in coaching definitely needs to change. So if he's got a sports mindset, it could definitely help them a lot for sure.
Yeah, that's really the only thing. I mean, I think it's just so crazy that like a young player like that would be doing that. But I mean, I just have to assume that he's doing what's best for him. So I just hope that that's the case. And I have no insider information as to that. So, but let's move on. You want to talk about this one, Death? This one's your exciting one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this like it's a fact for long enough to be pretty nervous that it hadn't been confirmed yet. So I'm glad to say that it's been confirmed. But Arhan is being signed by the Houston Outlaws. I believe that makes all 12 teams with a Korean player now. Houston was the last holdout. Notably, Arhan Law was a meme before JLAW KE, so Twitch chat's going to love Houston even more now. Arhan is a very, very good Genji player. He's also a known Tracer player, so he's got both of them in his hero pool. Not really the specialist I would have aimed for, but worked with and under Coach Tyrong in the past. So the head coach knows what he's getting. He knows what the team needs, presumably, and is okay with this. So,
maybe.
The time being, until they announce maybe cutting somebody, I would cut and signing a Tracer specialist. This is likely to be the shakeup here. And I'm expecting when they do go into dive, just based off the way Houston's been talking, like Linkser will be Tracer going forward. Like he will be picking up that role and learning that. So maybe they bring Arhan in when they want to run traditional dive and let him play the Genji. I don't really care either way which way. As long as there's consistency in the Tracer position, I'm a happy guy. I'm willing to give them time to improve on it. Just please be consistent, so there's a chance that you do improve on it, and that's really all I'm after here. We won't be expecting free Mendo. We won't be expecting Arhan until mid to late in the stage here, but it could be a very good breath of fresh air for them in stage 4. If they have another middle of the road stage, they're going to need a boost, a shot in the arm to keep them in the playoff chase, and so it could be perfect timing, and it kind of gives them another go at kind of the right decision, right? Like they came to what I believe to be the right decision in week 5 of last stage. So hopefully this gives them time not to make more mistakes. Like they learned their lesson in week 1 in stage 1 and then forgot them going into stage 2. So now hopefully they learned it late enough in the stage that they'll remember it going into the next one, and they'll play to their own identity and to their own strengths rather than trying to force their players into situations that they aren't well suited for. Only time will tell how much of an impact this will have. But either way, this is a player that, I mean, he used to go toe to toe. I was watching when I got wind of this, I started watching clips of him, and I mean, he's up there against, Birdring and Prophet and, the best players in Overwatch League right now, holding his own, doing well. I mean, nobody beat Jisoo Busan in those days, so you don't win them all or what have you. But he's been active in Apex the whole time leading up into Overwatch. That was the top level of competition for Overwatch. So I feel confident that this is an Overwatch League caliber player who it's an upgrade for the team. I mean, let's be honest. Like it's probably their best Tracer player out of the gates, unless Linkser's made incredible progress in 2 weeks.
Right. Or if Mendo gets freed and he can play at the same proportional level that he did 500 years ago when he was the best.
Week 2 of beta.
Closed beta. But last piece of news here was something that was speculated a while ago but now has been confirmed. Undead released by Shanghai Dragons, which just leads me to believe that all of the why can't I think of what it's called, all the drama was true. though that has not been confirmed. I just have to believe
I mean, most of it was from his own releases,
Right.
So
That's
it
true.
was
That's true.
just awkward, but nonetheless, best of luck to Undead. I hope we get to see him back someday. Hopefully he gets everything squared away, gets to come back and join the team. Because safe to say, at least through all of stage 1, I mean, he was their highlight reel, right? We thought it would be D after the preseason, but it was basically
He's the
Undead,
only like dull glimmer in a very, very dark void of nothingness. And if that's not an episode title, I don't know what is. But let's move on to our newly named segment, which is Slasher Says. And for those of you at home wondering, it's SEZ, not SAYS. So this is our unconfirmed news, most of which is coming from Slasher. We've got a tweet here that says soon to stay with the LA Valiant and Nene to stay with XL2, which was definitely both of those were thoughts or proposed trades where they were going to ship away soon, bring in Nene from XL2. I have to imagine that this is part of the greater like talks between LA Valiant and Dallas Fuel that just fell through the cracks. They couldn't get the numbers to work. Because I think it could have made a lot of sense potentially.
And it seemed like XL2 was reacting to it by officially signing Flower to the deal and everything like that. So it's definitely interesting. But it's where Houston, he's there. Nene's still there. You got time.
Yeah.
Go get him. 2 days. Figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems very peculiar that like it's very clearly and obvious, at least to us from the outside, granted, that Tracer is their biggest issue. The players have said it. The players on other teams have said it. Why not pick up someone who's good at Tracer and stop saying that Clockwork is? I don't know. But moving on, we've got Damon from NRG, who is a DPS player, is being reported by Slasher to have signed with Shanghai Dragons. So another, I believe, Korean player potentially on Shanghai Dragons, which would make sense considering that Undead is now gone. They do need to, they basically are like wiping the team essentially. Like we're going to see a Shanghai Dragons potentially in stage 4 that is of no resemblance to what we saw in the previous stages, which certainly can't be a worse thing for them, right?
Sweet.
Yeah. Sorry guys, new team. I really want them to, even though it's in like pretty poor taste to the former players, but post a tweet that says "New team, who dis?" Like that would just be a great meme. Shanghai, if you need a social media manager, I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, I have standards.
So
no, exactly zero Chinese. But moving on, we got reports that Siegel is to stay with Dallas Fuel due to lack of trade options and the Fuel requesting a heavy price in return. Sources said he will likely start until OGE returns and then begin to practice DPS again. So according to sources, Siegel going to keep playing tank until OGE comes back, or I guess doesn't really return. He technically was never here in terms of playing, but until he serves out his suspension.
I thought you meant Siegel serves out his sentence.
His sentence with Dallas Fuel.
Probably harder to sit through than the suspension, to be honest.
Yeah, the suspension will be over eventually, and undoubtedly. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We were talking about this in the pre-show. Like, how much is Siegel really worth? Like, even like, I'm not saying anything against his skill. I'm not saying anything against his in-game lead and team lead ability. But like, what does he have in terms of results?
I mean, he's looked like one of Dallas's best players when he's gotten the opportunity to play. But I mean,
Right.
when you're a tire fire and your active plan is to leave him on the bench, what makes you think? And like, it's very apparent to the world. He's come out and said, "I've signed a backup contract. Like I'm not here to start." And I mean, why would you think he demands a high price tag? That doesn't make any sense to me. But we also don't know it's true.
The only thing I can imagine is that was his initial, that they just want, like, the high asking price isn't like a high additional asking price. It's just what they're already paying him. It's just higher than what people expect, is my guess.
Yeah, I don't know, and we'll never know. But
maybe we will, but probably not. That's the type of thing that people don't usually talk about, and for good reason, because then people like us pick it apart. But the last piece of Slasher Says is that San Francisco Shock are expected to announce the signing of Choi Hyo Bin prior to the start of Owl Stage 3 this week. I think that was in one of the Korea leaks from a few weeks ago, because I'm pretty sure I butchered all of the names for everything.
We've been basically assuming this was going to happen and kind of free Nevix up not to play the last role he's ever been asked to play. Like, he's played every other role in competitive Overwatch so far. I do think he's been okay, but again, like we've talked about with the tanks, like there's a difference between not actively making a ton of mistakes and actively going out there and making plays and
right.
Giving your team the best opportunity possible. The best example is Fissure replacing iRemix. That will probably forever be the best.
Right. The Overwatch League, I think, started as needing consistency and then having a couple of players kind of step up, but now we've gotten to the point where it's competitive enough where everyone needs to be pulling their own weight plus more in order to really make a splash here. It looks like, Shock have kind of set themselves up. This is their moment, so to speak. Like, this is when they unlock. They might as well make as much of a run for it as they ever could. But
I'm surprised you didn't start singing Eminem. Start rapping.
No.
You only get one shot.
Oh, no, I only know the Weird Al. I only know the Weird Al versions of those songs. But let's move on. And of course, no tournament talk this week because there was no matches. But let's move on and
let's break it down.
We're going to break it down this week. We've finally got some matches to preview here. And on Wednesday, we've got Shanghai Dragons versus Dallas Fuel. We've both got the Cowards 3-0 for Dallas. And, man, a lot of people are picking Shanghai here. Dallas, only 74% of fans are picking. Is there any semblance of hope for Shanghai against Dallas here?
Sure. I mean, they're a new look team, right? They're coming in with a lot of changing parts, but the problem is even some of their old parts are still trying to get back here and aren't here to like be scrimming and get everybody on the same page. So I don't expect it to be a night and day difference for Shanghai. I do expect them to, if this was like week 4 of the stage, maybe I could buy into picking them. But 26% of you have essentially lost your minds. This was, Dallas beat them handily last stage, right? And everybody was like, they're back. It's like, no, Shanghai was just that far down.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that they were in fact that far down there, and let's just all return to some semblance of normalcy. Right. This would be like asking, I don't have a good example for it, and I just don't see the upside here. Like, it's just so likely to be Dallas that I just don't pick Shanghai. Pick Shanghai after they do it, right?
Right.
Don't try to find the first one.
Yeah, don't try to spike it here.
Blevins would literally be in like 0th place in Pick'em if he'd not ever picked Shanghai to win.
Yeah, I would be so far ahead that I would just be collecting interest every week. But yeah, it's not like they're not going to do it. And like, here's the thing, like, it's like, oh, well, Shanghai's going to be different. They're going to be new. They're going to be something that Dallas isn't expecting. It's like, yeah, you know who else the Shanghai Dragons players are new to? Themselves. Like, it's not like these players it's not like they bought, an old roster and put them all together and like they're playing a team that's played together forever and they're bringing out a new squad against Dallas. Most of these players have never played with each other. So no, it's just not going to happen. We've probably already spent more than enough time on this. I just like go back and change
it. The team
that
went to 5 against New York last time they played,
right,
is going to beat the team that hasn't won yet.
I agree. Everyone swap your picks over. That is it. This is a flip of the week, but it's more of a we're just telling you to stop picking Shanghai. Next up, we've got LA Valiant versus Seoul Dynasty. 3-0s from both of us for Seoul. Seoul being picked 99% of the time here is I almost think that the 1% that picked Valiant here are just as wrong as Shanghai, as the people who picked Shanghai.
All I'll say about this, or the one big thing I'll say about this one, is play Bunny, you cowards.
Yeah.
Throw them in their face immediately.
Yeah.
Even
Let him fissure them.
For every other match of the stage.
Yeah.
Make them play against Bunny this week. I think you have to. In all reality, play the player that you think is gonna give you the best chance, which is probably Soon. Plus, I don't want to give up the Soon chance. Like, stop this lunacy.
Play ball.
I want my Soon chance. He's like your fan's favorite player. I'm really curious to see what they do about that, though, because there is the very real potential that the contracts were signed and Bunny was, scrimming and practicing with the team before. These leaks get out for a reason, right? And it's because other people outside the organization find out about it as well as people inside the organization. So if this one could be, one that's been in place for a little bit, there's no visa issues. Bunny's there. Right. He didn't go home for the week off. Like, you don't just go back to Korea for that. So yeah, he didn't even need to move his apartment in order to go to his new job. So, there's a good chance there's some synergy there. So I'm very interested to know who starts there. I want to know, obviously I do expect Space here to be in the off-tank position, but the Valiant very quickly need to prove that this is going to lead to good things. Because when you're sitting outside the playoffs, you can't really slump, even when you make these big changes like this. Like, you have to come out swinging. I don't expect them to win this one, but like I said, go down swinging, take a map, take 2 maps, force it to 5. All these things would be phenomenal for the Valiant. Or just look competitive too. I would settle for that as a positive sign.
4-0 stomp here is going to strike a lot of fear, even if it is Seoul. But yeah, I don't see Valiant having any chance here. Last match on Wednesday, San Francisco Shock versus LA Gladiators. Again, we've both got Gladiators here with the Cowards 3-0. 88% of the fans are picking Gladiators.
Could be a flip. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think the biggest areas of weakness for the San Francisco Shock will now both have been addressed. I think Moth stepping in to help stabilize their support backline a little bit. And now if Super can step in, take over for Nomi.
Has the ability to play.
Yeah.
He's eligible.
He's going to be eligible. We don't know for sure that he will take the job. We don't know for sure he won't be an off tank. All signs are pointing to main tank, though. Listen, if we can, I hope this is a Reinhardt meta, right? Just because of how epic Super is on Reinhardt.
That would be sweet.
It would be sweet for everybody that gets to watch San Francisco matches, and also
with Sinatra too.
Shock fans as hell. Yeah, Sinatra's back. So this is the time, San Francisco. You now need to shock the world, as you like to say. Make your splash. We definitely need to see it now. Otherwise, I think any hope of hype is going to be gone. Not in this match necessarily, but just this stage. They've really got to ramp it up.
This was the alley-oop you threw. You started throwing when you were the first team to announce. Like, this was this was the time that we were all talking about. Like, oh man. Ooh, when stage 3 happens, San Francisco's going to be unlocked. And they've added a couple other pieces here, but they have not quite. The road was very bumpy, to say the least.
Yeah, and I want to know if Architect's here, because I think he's going to got the potential to be a difference maker.
Right. They could be another team that has almost a completely different roster, right? They could have Architect. They could have Architect, Sinatra, Super, Moth. That's 4 of 6 different players.
And Choi Hoi Bin, if he comes
Choi Hoi Bin, too.
Choi Hoi Bin. I'll never say that right. So
never once. His name's CHB from now until forever. CHB could be in 5 out of 6 players different. And then, you know what? Just throw IDDQD in there, too. Have a completely different roster.
For Sleepy.
Okay, never mind. Keep Sleepy. Have Sleepy be the rock of the team, because he's definitely earned it, especially if you look at some of his fantasy numbers. But that's a different show. I agree. I think there's a lot of flips here. This could definitely be one of them. I mean, Gladiators have been trending up. Shock is still a little bit shaky, but they are a wild card in a different sense that like they have been a team and they've been decent. They've just been missing a couple of pieces. It's not like Shanghai, which is like, oh, we're just gonna roll the dice again. It's like that's not favored against a team against any semblance of a team, especially a team that takes New York to 5. This is not rolling dice. This is like almost like arguably strict upgrades in positions. But I think that'll be a match to watch. Might even be the match to watch of that day. Although people are going to be watching Gaguri's opening day against Dallas. But if that upset happens, I'm going to delete this and we're going to re-record the episode with us saying that you should pick it. But yeah.
I'll still tell you not to pick it in the re-recording. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, I'll flip my head over and show us Shanghai Dragons. But moving on Thursday, we got Florida Mayhem versus NYXL. You've got
Speaking of flips of the week, this is not it. So
no, not at all. You've got New York 4-0. I'm still too much of a coward to not have New York be 3-0. No, this isn't a 5-0, especially since Florida is my pick for like breakout team of the stage. It's just not going to be this week, man. I don't think it's going to be this week. But 100% of people have New York here, and I think it's right. Anything to add about this match?
Well, I don't know that we have definitive word on when everybody gets here for Florida,
but awesome guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think if Awesome Guy's here, I really, really do want to see him. I think we got word that he was like arriving soon, but I don't think he's gotten here yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle him being there.
I think he is here. I think they posted that he was here, or maybe it was Say a Player. I don't remember. One of the two is definitely here. But they posted on April Fools and they're like, no, this isn't actually a joke. Although they actually did have kind of a funny joke for April Fools where they said that they signed Ryu Jae-hong. That was actually kind of funny. So Florida Mayhem gets a pass on April Fools, but everyone else doesn't. Yeah, no, I mean, Florida has looked good. And the one thing I mentioned to Deathblow yeah, go ahead.
Say a Player has arrived, but I'm not seeing announcements like that for Awesome Guy.
Gotcha.
So we'll have to wait and see exactly whether or not he's there, unless it's just happened before. But I really don't think I missed that one. But there's also the question of how do you use Say a Player, right? Because Logix is finally stepping up and doing really, really well. So I'm very curious to see how they share time amongst these DPS players, because Say a Player was one of the guys I picked on my team when we did the expansion team draft before the season started. I've always thought this guy was very much so an Overwatch League level DPS player. Something Logix hasn't shown to be the entire season, though definitely recently. So that's an interesting question that I'm glad I don't have to come up with the answer to, because it's pretty tough.
It's definitely going to be tough. It's also going to be, I think, tough with a team that has played together for so long and without subs, how they're going to like react as a team to them and how they're individually going to react. Like, hey, guys, you're not starters every week now.
Yeah. And Zappos will finally be full prep. Like there's no real restrictions. Like he didn't jump in the middle of a stage or anything like that. So, could be a fair few number of shakeups here from Florida. A team that we're not used to shakeups from.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping for good things for them. But let's move on. We've got Philadelphia Fusion versus Boston Uprising, and here we've got some difference here. You've got Boston 3-0. I've got Philadelphia 3-0. 91% of the fans have Philly. So, Death, explain your reasoning here.
Safe to say, I'm going to just go ahead and call this one my pick of the week. But the reason why I'm picking it this way is because, well, I sat down and I looked at some numbers.
Cheater.
I cheated, yes. I definitely did. So,
by looking at publicly available information and making informed decisions based off of it.
Informed decisions are the death of this show. And if I continue to make them, it will ruin us. But, listen. We've talked about how Boston resets a little bit going into the stage, but now there's only one brand new map. So we can go back and look at what the records. What's that?
And it's brand new to everybody.
Yeah, it's brand new to everybody. So everybody's going to be equally as lost and dazed and confused on this map. So this could potentially flip, right? But when we look at what the past performance has been, the first map here will be Volskaya. Boston, I'll let you know when they lose on it. They are 5-0 right now. Philadelphia is 1-4. So clearly not their best map, though. They did win on it against, was it New York? Well, one of the playoff matches, anyways. They did pick up this map with Snillo in there, but I think at the end of the day...
It was New York.
Okay, yeah, but at the end of the day, New York was preparing for completely different teams and chose not to prepare for Philadelphia's absolutely hands down, haven't won on it yet, worst map. So I'm not expecting that surprise to, carry over and suddenly make them a team favored to beat a team that hasn't lost on the map yet. Right. So I'm going to give that one to Boston. Blizzard World is a toss-up. Who knows? I don't have their... game mode win percentages there, but I don't remember them as different. Otherwise, I probably would have wrote them down. And then we have Ilios. Boston is 7-1 there. Philadelphia is 3-4. A pretty drastic difference. And then on Route 66, that one is Philadelphia favored. They're 6-1 there, and then Boston is 2-3. So the way I see this one, and I picked it as a Cowards 3-0 because it could be 3-1, it could be 3-2. I don't expect it to actually be 3-0. This should be a pretty hotly contested one, unless Boston really does full reset. Like, it's the meta, not the maps, that breaks them down. I mean, but I'm not expecting quite so hard of a reset button from them. They're not dealing with Gamzu leaving town anymore. Like, he's looked so good. They closed the stage so strong. Yeah. I'm willing to give them a little faith and trust the map records here to give them an edge in this one. I
mean, if they win their coin flip on Blizzard World, it's over. Route 66 doesn't matter.
Yeah, it will be over then, and maybe they win it just on the back of like a broken-hearted bad Philly team that showed up. You know what I mean? Like, right. You never know. I'm super happy for Philly that they stood out in that stage, but again, Boston is a good enough team that nobody's just safe. 91% should never be the score. I don't think, unless it's New York.
Honestly, after seeing, I mean, the stats don't lie here. And I mean, definitely, even though I'm picking Philly here, this 100% is a flip. If you need
based on the percentages, I think is the best flip.
This might be the best flip we've ever had. Because it's actually backed by something and not just me picking with my gut, which I do 99 plus 1% of the time. But let's move on. Last match of the day, we've got London Spitfire versus Houston Outlaws. You've got the Houston Outlaws edging out in 5. I've got a London's Coward 3-0. Fans, 88% of the fans are in favor of London. You've got the map breakdowns here. What's the story?
Sure. So, London fans, hit me up when you finally beat Houston in a regular season match that counts and is an exhibition. You did in the playoffs. That's great. It has looked, honestly, like, Houston has had London's number a little bit. And again, picking Houston in this matchup, I was going to need to defend myself. I looked at some numbers. Like, I'm not just fanboying out and picking with my heart here, although my heart wanted to get to this result. Yeah. When you look at it, we've got Temple of Anubis is split. Okay, it's basically 3-4 for Houston,
right down the middle.
3-3 for London. No advantage there.
Coin flip.
Blizzard World is a toss-up. We don't know. Houston is 72% on the map mode and hybrid. Yep. And London is at 70%. Again, a toss-up. Going into Nepal, we've got Houston at 2-2, London at 3-2. Again, basically a split, but the last time they played on Nepal, and Houston won 2-1 there. We go to Route 66. Houston gets thumped. It was 6-1 for London, 0-4 for Houston on the map. It is a brutal, brutal map for them. And then we go into 5, right? Let's say, it ends up tied out of there, right? Houston wins 2 of the first ones. We go into Oasis, which is I don't have the stats for it, but if you think back, you'll remember it is a brutally bad map for London. And it is one of Houston's better controls. I didn't write down the win percentages there, and I should have. But we weren't sure. Like, we kind of did the math and figured out it was going to be Oasis, like, as we were doing that one. So it was a bit of a flawed process. But yeah, listen, I think this one's right down the middle. I think Houston has had London's number. I I can see easily picking this one either direction, to be honest. I won't be upset if somebody picks London and just doesn't see it. But I do think after seeing both of their matchups, London adapts very well. This is week 1 of the new meta and week 1 of a new map.
They're great at playing the rematch, but not on the new meta.
Right. So it's the right time. It's the right maps. It's a very fair fight here. So I got Houston edging it out just a little bit.
Okay.
If the tiebreaker's on Oasis, that's a big deal.
Houston is heads. London is tails. Let's see who's going for it. The coin says London. So the coin is spoken, and I follow the coin. So
it was an American coin, so both sides were Houston. But yeah, so this one's going to be super, super close. I think as far as compete level goes, this is the one I'm most excited to see on the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll definitely be a good one, at least hopefully. I mean, a new stage can mean anything for anybody, but it's based on the numbers, it's going to be a close one. Moving on to Friday. We've got LA Gladiators versus Dallas Fuel. We both have Gladiators winning here, and so does every single fan, 100%. Is there any chance that we see Dallas even have a shot here?
They shouldn't, but I mean, this is the team that teams can buy into the reset mentality, right? And
a lot of
have
volatility.
some trades happen when you have some new players come in.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about how you can have communication breakdowns and things like that. I had to make the Led Zeppelin reference. Sorry, but this isn't. When you don't have good communication, right? I don't fear a breakdown. So there's just the chance that maybe you can fix things a little bit, but I don't expect the Gladiators to be so on tilt from missing the playoffs by that narrow margin that suddenly they do fall here. But it's worth noting that the Dallas Fuel have beaten the Fissure-led Los Angeles Gladiators already. It was like his first match ever with the team. I don't expect it to happen again, but 100% is probably always wrong in a percentages from the fans.
Yeah,
but I get it. You couldn't make me flip this one.
J-Man 1954 Kappa brings up in the chat that Dallas is undefeated against LA this season. So definitely, I mean it's definitely something to note. I don't think it's going to happen. 100% is definitely wrong, but
perfect time, the perfect time to play against the Gladiators back to back.
Yeah, the perfect time, stage 1 as a whole, and then right when they changed. But yeah, that I don't know. I think it might be kind of close. The problem is it's hard to predict what these teams, how these teams are going to handle the volatility of a new stage and the roster shakeups. Are they going to come out and explode like Gladiators did with Fissure, or are they just going to kind of fumble around and be awful? Probably most of them will.
And I'll say this: I would have picked this as a Cowards 3-0 if I was in third place in the pick'em, and I wasn't on page 2 and needed to find an opportunity to try to
to get that extra 50 points. Yep, I don't blame you.
So yeah, it's not a lock. The 100% is wrong, but yeah, you couldn't make me flip the result.
Speaking of 100%, we've got LA Valiant versus Shanghai Dragons here. We've both got the Cowards 3-0 for Valiant. 97% of fans are in favor of Valiant. So notably a lot less confident in Shanghai against LA Valiant.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that the Valiant do fall flat on their face in the midst of the internal turmoils. There's clearly bound to be unhappy players in that room that don't agree with what's going on, and the mass exodus to 100% Chinese players that seems to be inevitable for the Los Angeles franchise. So there's a non-zero chance that it does blow up in a temporary 1 week scenario. But again, just like the Dallas match, sure, it's possible. There's a puncher's chance here, but you couldn't pay me.
Yeah, I'm not picking Shanghai Dragons until they do it.
Yeah, until they make me wrong once by not picking them, I will never.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on, we've got Seoul Dynasty versus San Francisco Shock. We've both got the cowardly 3-0 here. Seoul, 96% from the fans. I mean, I think San Francisco's playing against Gladiators. I mean, if San Francisco beats Gladiators and it's if it's like a 3-1 or a 4-0, and also Seoul loses, who is Seoul playing against Valiant?
I don't need an also.
No.
I don't need an also.
Yeah, I don't need an also. Yeah, I mean, Seoul losing to LA Valiant, I think, just sends a complete.
That would make me want to flip it. That would make me want to
either
flip
of these
one,
teams
100%.
not performing up or down to expectation makes me potentially want to flip it. It's just like the problem is that Seoul is still Seoul no matter what. Even they can mismanage themselves into in their team and not play Fleta forever, but they sometimes still just will play Fleta, and they still have the ability to just play Fleta. So I can't see Shock pulling this out here without any sort of crazy or hijinks happening.
And it's worth noting too. I think it would be a mistake for them to have played Bunny over Munchkin, and so they're kind of like offloading potential problems. Like they can't make the wrong decision if they trade the wrong, trade the backup player. So, that could help them in the long run. But at the end of the day, it's definitely I think for this team in particular in this matchup, like, do they play Fleta? If yes, can't lose is kind of how I view this logic tree playing out.
Unless it's against NYXL. And to answer Blazing Bob in the chat's question, I do not predict a shocker here. Not seeing it happen unless they look really, really good and Super like carries the team. Super and Sinatra just carry Shock against Valiant, or no, not against Valiant, against Gladiators earlier. I don't see it happening. Moving on to Saturday, we've got Florida Mayhem versus Philadelphia Fusion. We've both got Philly winning 3-0 here with the Cowards 3-0, 91% in favor of Philly. Man, I do think Philly is definitely favored here, but Florida's another one that could definitely look better.
This could be a surprise, but it would be a very big surprise if it happened. Philadelphia Fusion's so hot right now. I've got them losing to Boston. I can't have them being upset twice in a week. That's part of their gimmick. It's bad Philly, then good Philly.
Right.
The one thing to note here, though, is this could potentially flip depending on what goes on with EQO. He's in a little bit of hot water for racially insensitive stream behavior. Is the best way I can put it. We don't know what form that'll take right now. We do have the owner. I'm forgetting his first name. Mr.
Tucker Roberts.
Oh, Tucker's his first name. Okay, well that would explain why I couldn't remember the first name. Tucker Roberts. Yeah, he is basically said they're going to handle it. Internally, they're going to take some action. We don't know what form that'll take. That could be a week off. That could be we don't know. If EQO sits, we've seen time and time again the inconsistency of the Philadelphia Fusion with Shadowburn in there. EQO seemed to stabilize it. He didn't get rid of it completely, but he stabilized it some. So if that happens, this one becomes much more in play. And if you're really desperate, like page 3 or 4 on the pick'em, then maybe you want to worry about.
Could be flipped. Florida Mayhem is my predicted breakout team for stage 3. They just have a really hard first week against literally 1 and 2 from stage 2. So it's tough to pick them there, but this could be a flip. 91%. It's close to right, but maybe it's a little bit low. I don't know. I can't in good conscience pick them, even though I do. I actually really like both of these teams, so I'm gonna be. I think I'm gonna be happy with either team winning here. But my gut says Philly, even though I do love.
I'm in the same boat. I tend to root for both of them when they're opponent.
I'm an East Coast Overwatch team fan for sure.
East Coast.
Yeah, except you hate Boston, but I don't have as much disdain for Boston. But speaking of them, we've got Houston Outlaws versus Boston Uprising on Saturday. We're going to be in Boston for this match, hopefully watching it at a local pub with some other people.
On all of the Uprising fans my entire time at PAX.
You've got Houston winning 3-0. I'm picking the bad guys here. I'm going with Boston. What's the map breakdown?
The map breakdown is that the Houston Outlaws have never lost to the Boston Uprising, so change my mind. That is a fact, although honestly, the first one was incredibly close. Went to 5, was a phenomenal match of Overwatch. The second one was Boston not playing like themselves in the first week of Stage 2. They looked awful. But when we go in and look at the numbers here, this one's close. I'm going to start doing map-by-map breakdowns and looking at win percentages on these maps whenever we have close ones, and this is definitely a close one.
Yeah, it's a 60-40 in favor of Houston for the fans, by the way.
Yeah. So, yeah, this one could definitely, flip in either direction. When we look at the maps, we've got Anubis as favored Boston's way. They're 5-0 to Houston's 3-3. I will say, though, a good number of those, well, no, what stage was Anubis? That was stage 1. So they were playing the Junkrat. It's definitely in Boston's favor, but I could see a Junkrat map going Houston's way very clearly. When we look at Numani, Houston is 4-1, Boston is 1-4, so a big advantage to Houston there. Looking at Nepal, each team is 2-2 on that particular map. And then we finish in Junkertown.
That's Outlaws Town.
Yeah, that is definitely Outlaws country. So I've got to give that one to them. And again, assuming we don't know, right? I'm picking these potential 5 mappers or whatever without knowing the tiebreaker, which definitely could even flip this one in my mind. Like if it was a bad map for Houston, but if it's Oasis, that's one of their better control maps. I think it gives them a solid chance there. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one to Houston, but it's gonna be super close. And as long as we get a phenomenal Overwatch match at the end of the day, I'll be pretty happy. But this is my team versus my arch rival. This
is the big one for you, and we're going to be in enemy territory.
If I had to choose undefeated against Boston on a season and the championship, and it would be close. I'm taking the championship, but I couldn't just spit it out. I can only answer it this fast now because I've thought it out already.
Right.
It would be close.
And this is definitely going to be a close one. And Hello Kyanite in chat has suggested that we consult the almighty coin here for this such a close matchup. So Houston for heads again. Let's see what the coin says. Ooh, that's looking like a Houston Outlaws victory for the almighty coin. So the coin is spoken.
Now we know that the coin's not broken and just hates Houston. You didn't get like a Dallas coin or something like that and then flip it to decide Houston matchups because that would.
Nope, we've got the Houston Outlaws picked by the coin. Maybe we should just I'm not going. I really don't want to incorporate the coin any more than we already have. We're gonna have Deathblow picks Philadelphia 3-0, Blevins does, and coin has it at a 50-50 every week. Weird.
When we disagree, the coin should make a decision as to who the podcast as a whole picks.
Ooh, good call there. So the coin has Houston 50-50 this week. So just keep that in mind, those of you who are following the coin. Maybe we'll make a coin Twitter. We're not making a coin Twitter. That's way more work than it's worth, which is absolutely nothing. But moving on, we've got last match of the week, and boy, oh boy, this one's a banger. We've got New York Excelsior versus London Spitfire. You've got New York 3-1. I've got the Cowards 3-0 for New York, though. Honestly, I probably would go with a 3-2 here. But 91% of the fans have New York winning here. What's the scoop here, Deathblow?
I can't in good conscience pick. It's like picking Shanghai to win. I'm not going to do it. I'm not just going to pick New York to lose when it doesn't really happen often. It's a little bit different, and this is one of the teams that's shown they can do it, and you know what I mean, things like that. They've won twice if you count the playoffs, which let's throw them out because it works against our team. We'll do that for either one of our teams. We'll just throw out
playoffs don't count.
Matchups.
Playoffs. There's only one playoffs that count, and that is the end of season playoffs.
Yes, we will never discount
for
those.
Gold.
Unless it really, really helps one of our teams.
Yeah, exactly.
But so listen, I mean, London's too good of a team to get 4-0'd. I'm not even picking the Cowards 3-0 because I don't see how it's possible. I could see this going to 5, but to me, when I look at percentages of most likely to happen, it's London gets a map, New York wins. 3-1, kind of wrap it up, call it a day. Don't flip it. I would. I mean, it's
Yeah,
close.
I wouldn't flip
you
this
really,
one.
really
91% is close. I wouldn't flip it.
Picking against New York is just
It's
wrong.
not favored. Certainly not favored.
I'm
ever.
trying to imagine what would even like get me to pick Houston over New York right now, and I don't think there's bad enough maps in existence for New York that I could see it. But we'd have to be looking at like
Jonak gets traded
5-1
to
to
Houston.
1-5, right?
Yeah.
Move Jonak over to another team. And
I
then
can
maybe.
tell you, I haven't looked at the numbers myself, but I have heard that I don't think New York has under a 70% win rate on any map, except for maybe Horizon Lunar Colony.
Well,
I don't remember who said that, but what you should actually look at as we're coming to the end of the show is if we have any other iTunes reviews.
Oh, I know. As long as you don't need me to tell you right now, I know.
You know,
I'll figure it out by the time it comes up. Don't worry.
Well, it's up right now. That was the last match. That's all we got.
Well, you're really bad at stalling for me, my friend.
I mean, I could stall. We could see what match. Okay, if anyone's in chat, you've got about 10 seconds to figure out what match we should let the coin decide. And podcast people, I'm sorry.
We're not going that deep. We're not going
podcast
that
people.
deep
I'm so sorry.
The badness that this will be when there isn't a review at the end of the day. I'm your 100th review. Holy smokes, we have one.
We got one. Yes.
We have two actually.
Nice.
I think, right? Nope, never mind. Just the one. Yeah, I'm your 100th review is a 5-star review from Bearded Zucchini. Hey, I love the show. You guys have great commentary and such a great relationship with the other Overwatch podcasters that I love. Keep up the good work. And lastly, I hate the SR system. I get that.
So do most people.
Signed Bearded Zucchini. So really appreciate the review, man. I think a lot of people are unhappy with ranked. So, there should be some solid support groups out there by now. Like I love Overwatch. I hate ranked. Maybe group sessions you can sit in on. So if anybody knows of any of those, even if they're anonymous, DM us, DM into the show.
I know a good one. It's called the High Noon Podcast Discord channel where you can gripe about anything.
It's a solid group. And yeah, people do gripe about anything. Yeah, definitely join the Discord. We'll help you get through it as best as we can. Or, we have a memes channel if it doesn't.
Yeah, that solves everything. But that's over at discord.me/High Noon Podcast. We're being told to mention something about London GM, and I don't know what that is. Do they have a new GM?
London's, yeah, they signed a new general manager. Let me get the name. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Oh, yes. Susie Kim. That's
Susie Kim.
Josh Kim's older sister. Josh Kim is a High Noon Hot Seat alumnus who formerly worked for the LA Valiant. She is now the GM for London Spitfire, which is awesome.
Good for her, good for London.
Yeah. And when I'm the community representative for the Overwatch World Cup USA team, everything will be great for everybody in the US.
And so I'll be general manager too, because our campaign succeeded.
It will be fantastic. But that is going to bring us to the end of the show, guys. That is it.
I will shoulder check South Korea in the back hallway. And when I shoulder check people, they don't just get back on the stage.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You're gonna have to go through DPay, who might be representing one of the other countries. But yeah,
he gets the Terry Tate office linebacker treatment for
Did you see? I posted that meme. I posted a Terry Tate gif for one of the tweets about DPay. So good. But this is the last H&P episode before PAX. So remember, guys, if you are going to be at PAX East on Friday or Saturday, hit us up on the Discord. We've got a channel for that, or tweet at us, or what have you. We're definitely going to be there. But I think that's all we've got. Any last second stuff before we close it out?
No, that should be it. Looking forward to that 2-0 week for the Houston Outlaws that I just predicted. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me.
All I have to say is that the coin does not agree, and the almighty coin knows all. But
Coin's stupid.
It's right. It's right half the time. But guys,
Yeah,
that's gonna be it. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, you can always watch live twitch.tv/High Noon Podcast. You can also check out all of the links to everything over at highnoonpodcast.com. Remember, if you guys are fans of the other shows, whether it's Around the Payload, Foul Play, Ever Upward, Blackwatch Report, those all have their own separate podcast feeds. So if you're wondering where they went, well, last week, most of them took a break, but they are on their own podcast feeds. So make sure you search for those. But that is going to be it, guys. We will see you after PAX East. And remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
I have a feeling that this coin is going to destroy the show.